Today we are going to talk about this subject on y equal to fx. So this equation is very important in Six Sigma because right from the beginning till the end of any projects you do, either it's a yellow belt, it's a green belt or a black belt, this will applicable for your entire program. Y equal to fx. So what is this y equal to fx, right? So y is something that we require, and x is something is that it has to be done. In terms of Six Sigma, it is called y is a dependent variable and x is an independent variable. So y is mostly constant, where x it's got a number of factors which will have an independent variable towards y. So let us discuss in detail what is this all about. So y is nothing but it's the pain point, it's a problem, it's the problem of a customer, or it could be an improvement problem, or it could be a design problem. But y is something that we need to find out what is the problem, and x is the root cause of the problem. There could be n number of x, that means n number of root problems for a y problem. So that means that is the reason it is called f of x, or the function of x, which means that it could be any problem. So coming here, y, as you see, it's a variable, and the why it is called a dependent variable, because the effect is dependent on the x, and the variation in y is equal to delta y. If delta y is poorly monitored and controlled, then definitely the customer satisfaction and the business results will go down. That is why if delta y increases, more failures, defects, waste, and risk of fire, as you see. Whereas x variable, it is an independent variable, and the variation is x is equal to delta x, and delta x is poorly monitored and controlled, indicates poor habits, and if delta x increases, there is no continuous improvement. So let us take one example where every of us will know how we are going to calculate the y equal to fx. So let us say we go to a coffee shop, right? Everybody goes to a coffee shop, and we wanted to have a coffee. But when I go to the coffee shop, when you go to the coffee shop, there are certain criterias being you as a customer want the coffee to be. For example, we want a coffee which has got a good aroma, a good strong coffee, which a decent sweetness, and it's hot. So here, as you see, y is broken down into multiple y's, into smaller y's, y1, y2, y3, y4, because y variable is always a generic term. Whenever you go and ask customer, if for example you are running the coffee shop and you go and ask the y variable, for example, they will say, how would you like to have a coffee? They will say just, I want a good coffee. But for good, according to them, what is a good means? So these are, then we will ask them, what is good coffee for you actually means? It is good aroma, strongness, a decent sweetness and hotness. So I define what is a good coffee. So it is my responsibility as a service provider to get and define the actual requirement of the customer, right? So in the field of property and facility management, as we are all talking about a Six Sigma process in how to implement in FM organization. So whenever I go and ask my client, right, how do you want a facility to be? Normally the answer what they give is, I need a compliant free facilities management. That's all they will say, because they don't define y1, y2, y3. They will only give a y variable in a very common bridge. But it is my responsibility as a service provider or as a manager or as any person in the FM industry has to go and ask them to define what is the why variable for them. Maybe they will say, I need 100% scoring on my compliance. Maybe they also will say that, I want to reduce my energy management or my utility management year on year 5%. Then they will say that, I need my customer experience, my customer complaints should be not less than two complaints per month. Or, they might give you a difference. So according to them, what y variable means that they have three or four parameters which for them will conclude that this is the y, this is my pain problem, and this is what I need. So you need to go and write the definition of what is the y for them. So once you find the y, then you go and ask, then you go and make the x variable. For example, here, x variable for me to get a good coffee, I need a milk, I need a coffee powder, I need a sugar, I need a right temperature, I need the brewing time. These are my different x. Very similar. While you are doing your y for the facilities management, you probably, your x is what? It could be a good manpower, a good resource, the right tools, or the right presentations. It could be various x. So you all put all x together to find a y. And as you see here, this is one more place where, the y variable, for example, somebody is overweight, okay, and x variable, what is the requirement for the overweight? Then, it could be due to the calories consumed, dinner time, physical activities, sleep hours, and stress level. These are the x variables to reduce the weight. But here is very important, you should also measure when you have to check your y variable. Here, as you see, the overweight, when you check the weight of that particular person, you should be very clear and write a definition when that person will measure the weight, whether he will do it in the morning or he will do it in the afternoon, before empty stomach or after eating. So he has to do a proper y variable so that he can work on the x variables. The moment you know the x variables, then you can start working on how you can control the x variable to measure and manage your y variable. So here, this is a lovely table. So as you see, the x variable, as we saw last time, okay, the calories consumed, okay, the range of investigation is 1000 to 2800. So what I have done, I have planned that this person is overweight, and as I see, my x variables has got 5. So now I do an investigation. Every day he takes 1000 to 2800 calories. The dinner time is he eats between 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. Then physical activities, he is doing only 2000 to 10,000 steps. Sleep hours is 6 to 10 hours. Stress level is low, medium, and high. So I will just measure which is the highest it can make this person to lose the weight. So for example, the level 5, okay, so I will do an investigation, and then might ask him, why don't you do 30,000 steps a day, so that your x variable, I can do some changes so that my y variable will have some changes, or else here I will say 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. So instead of having at 10 p.m., he can have every day at 7 p.m. Let me check 1 month. Then let him start eating at 8 p.m. 1 month. Next month, he let him start eating at 9 p.m. so that I will do an investigation which will make him to reduce the weight. So these are the parameters, and I will do various investigation or various range to keeping different ideas so that he can reduce the x variable. So here The current weight that person has got 80 kgs, and I've got a target weight of 65 kgs, and delta is 15 kgs. Okay, so what I do, I have already seen there are three x1, x2, and x3. That is 2000 to 1200 calories, 11 p.m. to 7 p.m., and 2000 to 5000. This is my first factor. Basically, maybe he is, having some level of workout. So I am going to do this experiment on him so that he can do it. So basically, this is what y is equal to fx, and we've been. I mean, Six Sigma is now divided into different types of measures. That is methodology, which is define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. So in the define phase, as I told you, y stands about what is the problem, where is the problem, what is the problem, right? And then you find what is the pain metric, which means that whatever is the problem, you convert that into a measurable metric, that is called the critical to quality, right? Then you validate, you do a baseline, find the ways to measure the metric accuracy, so that you will control into a measurement phase. Okay, then analyze. As you see, we have to find a root cause, validate the root cause, and study the relationship between them. And then we have to find out what is the actual root cause and how much influence the root cause are. Next is improve. Once you find out the root cause, then you make improval factors. As I told you, we have to do multiple experiments, and we have to get the best optimum solution for that person, and ensure that, for example, this person who is overweight, I will tell him you can have the food before 7 o'clock or between 7 and 7:30, and he has to do 30,000 steps in a day, and he has to reduce his stress level, and I will give him some parameter so that he will improve from 80 kgs to 65 kgs. And the last is control, to continuously monitor him at least for next 6 months. He is following the same pattern so that he will reduce the weight. So this is called, the Six Sigma methodology, which I told you, that DMAIC methodology, which is define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. Now I hope you understand y equal to fx equation. Okay, it might look simple, but as you go far and far in Six Sigma equation, it will help you in a lot of way.